InShalla and Ashe. If you ever wonder why I take a minute, is I'm streaming not just to my Facebook channel, but I'm also on YouTube. So sometimes I might appear like I'm all over the place, and probably I am. But today is Sunday, July 18th, and the daily snippet is brought to you by none other than your prime directive. It's the ability to make a decision for our soul or our life story. But first, let's actually talk about the elemental realm of today. Today, it's a yin fire day. You can see ding on the day master, where yesterday was a bing. So fire is always like the ding and the bing. At least from the heavenly realm. So that's pretty funny. Actually, I thought that was hilarious. And then you can see the rabbit on the day branch. So it's a very yin kind of day again. And we're in the season of summer, and the opposing force is water. And there's all this yin energy. And actually, water is also a yin energy. It's more yin. Fire is more yang. But we always have these opposing forces in nature, right? So yin energy is more, it's cool, it's peace, it's calming, it's reflective, it's our inner world, silence, meditation. So I would bring in some mineral or actually metal today to ground into the water. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm feeling there. The mineral is actually going to take energy from all the earth on the month and the year branch that you can see, the goat and the ox. And the water will actually give that earth energy some direction. So I would work with metals or crystals on actually a day like today. And it's just a great conduit to connect with your own personal galactic center, your goddess center, or your personal God codex is kind of how I call that or see that. And everything in our reality is actually really a conduit. It's just sometimes our reality, we lose that connectivity with all the energies that come at us on the day to day. But metal as an energy or a frequency and a vibration, it's also how we make our decisions. Usually people that are great managers have a lot of metal vibration and frequency in their 4 pillars chart. They just do that naturally. Sometimes if it's on their day branch there, their day master, they're actually kind of abrupt and kind of scratchy in their language. So yeah, they can kind of irritate us as well. But, just know that if you have too much of any energy, it can shift our narrative. So having too much metal energy on a negative aspect is, making those shifty decisions, the sneaky kind. So just something to be aware of, that too much of anything is never actually a good idea. It's all truly about balance, really, right? So in the cosmic highway, we have a gateway connection between, we're having a vortex opening up to a new reality. So this week's going to be that dense energy. I don't know if you felt dense or heavy this week, but we're actually going to carry through this vortex and this other dimension opening up, this other reality. So I'm kind of excited for that. It's going to be like letting go of all of the narratives from not just this timeline, but even our past incarnations and what that even looks like. You might have dreams or signals from those even alternate lifetimes that actually trigger us, because lifetimes do carry over. So if you still have a pattern, it might be from several lifetimes ago, but you keep repeating the pattern over and over in each lifetime incarnation. So those are things that you ultimately need to say goodbye to and create that new narrative of your life, the life you're actually meant to live in this incarnation. So you're kind of going over the hurdle and getting off the hamster wheel and just letting things go. And actually, we're all here truly to create. And how each of us creates is actually unique, because how boring would the world be if we all created the same creation? So it's like our soul narrative and our spirit directive are going to actually collide and really allow us to bump into a paradise that we ultimately can create with a higher vibrational narrative. It's our prime directive. Just securing our emotional frequency into that God codex with a new level of emotional love frequency vibration. So if you're in need of assistance today, today would be a good day to ask for that assistance. So shop or explore, getting a new car, a new house, ultimately shifting the frequency of truly loving the skin you're in, and just asking your heart and feel into the frequency of what your heart truly wants and how it would feel, say, if you were driving a new car or looking for a new home or whatever it is that your heart is truly frequenting. But the focus of our internal fears shifts in our mindset. So this is actually going to be a narrative that's in the flow clear through the middle of April of 2022. So what's on the tide on our horizon is the attitude about ourselves. So it's our inner narrative and those ideas and thoughts that we've been telling ourselves. So if your narrative is unloving thoughts to your inner world, that truly is what's going to be shifting and waking up. And that's where the shift actually ultimately needs to begin. And just starting a soul or your own inner heart commitment, kind of a commitment journal, and write down what you are going to shift in your attitude about yourself in your soul garden. Be more nurturing, self-loving, know that you have emotional security, which honestly is totally a hard thing for me. Myself, it's kind of my soul's journey for that, but just pay attention to what feelings that you're ultimately subscribing to. And if you need to switch the channel, then absolutely do that and open up to receive a channel subscription that's new from not just the holy directive, but more like a Jedi master from the Force, that field, but also from the galactic core, the universe, the greater spirit, whatever, you call that frequency vibration. Open up your heart to your highest vibration of your future self, like what your future, you want that future to look like. Things most of us fear are usually abundance, money, true, honest integrity and value, anything material, maybe congesting foods, I'm thinking of low vibrational foods, being successful, or, whatever that even looks like, because even being successful has a different narrative for each and every one of us. So just shifting ultimately our thoughts, our ideas, even our ability to communicate or not communicate, all of those are kind of in this corridor as well. We might get into a narrative that doesn't really resonate with our soul story. This actually is going to keep going on into the spring of next year. So really pay attention to your thoughts and your inner world, your day-to-day reality, even your future self and what you want to look like in your future, all of your story. The moon today is still in the magical sign of Scorpio. And honestly, the moon in transit is actually magical in all of the sign. Each of them just has a unique flavor of how they show up. But Scorpio is actually ruled by Pluto, the planet of life and death, or ultimately death. It gets death, I should probably do a podcast today about grief, because I am doing my podcast, so be sure to check that out tomorrow. I'll probably do a grief podcast. But I cover some really curious insight into life and death also in Uncover the Secrets of the Other World. It's one of the programs in my healing venue, my corridor. But Scorpio is the depths of Hades. And I myself, I talked about this yesterday. I have a moon in Scorpio, so I'm really an emotional depth kind of person. Most people aren't really aware of how I feel or even what I think, for that matter. But I stay between the realm of death and the realm of the greater spirit. It's just something I've been able to do for a long earth journey on this timeline, absolutely. But today with the moon in Scorpio, our feelings superly seek to be like nurtured and feel safe and secure. For me, I ultimately need my own alone time, my own space, or my own space time. And just pay attention to being mindful of, this imaginary boundary line that actually needs to be drawn. I put myself a lot in a silver sphere, a silver bubble for protection, ultimately, so I can stay safe and grounded. And this is like safety and emotional security and getting it locked in, creating a holistic, loving vibration or frequency where we can heal our heart, rebuild our safety net around trust as well. I'm not trusting the narrative, I'm not going to lie, but if you've experienced any abuse or, abuse in any form actually, or even trauma, you can just bring in golden heart love from the galactic universe. And the God Codex assists in feeling that love that's actually truly divine. You can just bring in gold from the galactic core and your God code through your outer heart space. And that love is actually emanating and it's divine. And it allows us to feel supported and at peace from all the other realms and dimensions. So, you can feel into your pain and just allow the greater spirit, the divine, to alter the emotion attached to it. Our third eye is actually online today. So like colors of purple. I didn't have purple today, believe it or not, which is so funny. But purple stones will work. The Om sound, just sitting in silence, or, indigos, dark blues, dark blues, or deep dark blues, oceanic blues. But you can also bring in the solar plexus into the mix. That's our thoughts and our causal field, our mental clarity. You can also utilize the sun, the shining bright sun, or any blend of blues really into the mix, a blend of yellows and blues, and also indigos. I would say look at the base tone of any color and you can create whatever is resonating for you, especially like if you're an artist, when it actually comes to color, say you paint or you draw or, any kind of color really. I do color therapy, so I add that into my prescriptions for healing and shifting the energetic fields. Just stay true to your inner heart on your commitments as well. Maybe make a commitment to yourself to be invested 100% to the narrative of your own soul story, living your life with passion, with purpose, and creating an emotional tree of life that has its own branches that include any of those virtues that ultimately resonate with you. So, I always have my go-tos of peace, joy, and happiness and integrity. And honestly, I think I need to bring in my own love quotient. But ultimately, it's up to us to take actually that first step. The angelic beings of today, of course, we still have Gabriel, the angelic being of Cancer, but we also have Zuriel. Zuriel's a regulator. So everything has this opposing force, this duality. So Zuriel is kind of this regulator of all these forces and weighing in both the values and finding the balance in all of that. So with all these rotations of the celestial bodies outside of us, it creates this microcosm of our own swirling internal narrative within our relationships, inside and outside of us. It always waves out. So anything you don't like waving in, you kind of have to reflect on your own inner self and see where the frequency is, the wave. It's really like water skipping a rock. Hanael is another one. Hanael's the shepherd, which I totally like that. But what's cool here is that Hanael walks into the future from the past. So it's like traveling this cascading journey that we all have with different people in our lives that guide us. But sometimes we're also the guide. So it's this duality in between future selves, self in the now, self in the past, or self in another timeline. And just recognizing that we also need to carry our own inner light, our own torch, with our own responsibilities and even, those old school kind of traditions. I kind of resonated or meditated a little bit on this morning. It's like creating dinner from scratch or having people over and really truly like cooking and dining together as a community at the dinner table to share your stories of your day or whatever that looks like. getting back into that sacred space. People kind of don't do that anymore. So, the conversation needs to kind of happen to sit and, in community. And sometimes our journey here, feels long. It might feel lonely, but actually it doesn't need to be in that alone state. That's kind of what this angel feels like. We're never alone. We just, we have people on the other side, different angels, realms, ancestors, all of that. But we also have Jophiel, and I talked about him a couple days ago. I think so. I believe so. The Beauty of God. So you can rewatch that if you feel called and learn about Jophiel. Self-care is a part of today's narrative, and that's where Jophiel comes in. And as Jophiel kind of gives comfort to people in this dimension as well, because my favorite saying, I think, was Keanu Reeves about death. He feels sad for people that are left here that love and miss us. That's kind of what I feel like this angel is, giving that comfort for, when we're in grief for people that have actually transitioned. But the magical card for today, and sometimes I think I should do this before the angelic beings, but this card is awesome. I was super stoked. It actually comes from my Language of Light deck. It's a conscious ascension deck that I use. I don't use it all the time, but today I picked the card of joy, which is magical. You can see it says serious and initiation. So we're kind of wanting to initiate our joy, our inner joy story. So, and life truly is meant to be spent in joy. And there's actually what's called joy molecules that bubble inside of us like a spring from our inner heart to our God heart and back. So just being full of joy. So, it's a relative state. Sometimes it's peaceful. Sometimes it's overly exuberant. It's like being overjoyed. And what's curious in nature, or at least for me, is the Syrians actually, through the connection to the fairy realm, they're actually the stewards of joy through the fairy realm. So if you know anything about the Candomblé, they're all about joy. So this card, it's like this Candomblé nation initiation happening, at least for me. I play in those realms. I've got fairy gardens and I have a fairy dog, and that's kind of the venue I like to play in. But it's just the ability to see through these invisible realms that are actually very unique and right next to us. They support us in our healing, but also in like amplifying the joy molecules. Whether, joy can come from challenges as well. It's just reflective. So we might not immediately feel the emotion of joy and what that even looks like. But you empower each and every experience to its highest potential of love through joy. So joy isn't just an emotion of feeling good in its, actuality, but it's a deeper connection of that understanding and this connection and this intimate value of all of our experiences in life. So it's a combination of release and renewal and actually the expansion of one. So today I would recommend that you look deeper at your feelings and your experiences to actually find that inner joy, that inner peace that's actually awaiting for your attention. Love often is truly silently waiting for us to choose within ourselves. So love, where those joy molecules reside, truly with this card of joy today. So the language of light is actually releasing, that's language of light on the card, releasing the old pains and the traumas that actually block our flow of this intimate, ultimate joy state. Just amplifying our natural loving state that really assists us and others in our circus, village, whatever, as well, to this state of more of a blossoming abundance. It reminds me of flowers blooming in the spring or the summer. But today you could affirm things like, I release the past hurts, the need to control all my outcomes. Really go on a walk and bring in the natural joy of nature, like a flower, an animal, a breath of fresh air. Nature really is the ultimate healer, or at least in my opinion. And then, find a way to increase your love quotient today, your love value. just in your daily actions, not just with yourself, but with others and really anyone that you interact with. Love inside of us truly wants to bubble out and cascade. So another great thing is just by smiling, laughter, that activates our inner joy. And just recognize that your joy enhances life too. So stay in the frequency of joy. And just ask yourself, where is my joy? What lights or blows up my skirt up, as my friend Kelly would say. So anyways, that's my daily snippet for today. I'm about to get ready to do my podcast and also my Musing Moon meditation. This is the buck full moon, so I'm excited about that. If you haven't subscribed for the free gift of this Musing Moon meditation, it'll be ready in the corridor. So as always, InShalla, Ashe. Sorry for my little glitch there. It says I'm online, but I just sometimes don't know this techie stuff. Blessings. Make it a joy-filled day.